Good morning, everyone. A very warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers, our talent leaders, our HR professionals, and all the participants who are joining us from across India and beyond, right? It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you to our first virtual talent leadership roundtable in 2026. First and foremost, thank you for taking the time out to be part of this conversation. And we are privileged to have an exceptional panel of TA folks, HR folks, and people from the workforce strategy. All of you are representing some great organizations and you're coming from across various technologies. A little background is that at Multi-Recruit, we have always believed that the best of our ideas emerge when practitioners such as you all come together to openly discuss these challenges, share these experiences, and we get to learn from each one another. This roundtable is an extension of that belief. Before we begin all of this, I'd like to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you, and especially to our speakers and everybody who's joined in today for sharing their valuable expertise and their experiences. Your insights, your perspectives are what makes this discussion very meaningful and very impactful. With this, it gives me a great pleasure to hand over the session to our moderator, Arpita Mishra, who's the AVP at Citi India. Arpita will also introduce today's topic in greater detail and introduce our distinguished panel of speakers before we begin this table. Over to you, Arpita, and thank you, everyone. And let's see how this goes again. Thank you all.
Discussion, I would like to invite each of our panelists to briefly introduce themselves. It would be nice if we could keep the introductions to 20 to 30 seconds each. Maybe you can share your name, organizations, and current role. So let's begin with Amit, and then we will go around the panel.
Everyone, my name is Amit Tripathi, and I head the talent acquisition for EquiLend India. So EquiLend is basically a leader into fintech domain with multiple products to offer. Been into the talent domain for like 15 years now, and I'm quite happy to be here and speak and share the stage with all of you. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ashwini, and I have an extensive career in HR in terms of generalist as well as talent acquisition, and I did both, but I realized talent acquisition is my passion. Number game is what I love, so went back and stuck around it, and still continuing with that. So that's about me. And if anyone has questions, ping me. Thank you.
I'm Smita Suryavanshi. I lead the HR business partnering team for Ensono Technologies. We are an IT services organization and been in the HR business partnering unit for last 18 years, and glad to connect with all of you today.
Hi, good morning, and this is Joseph. I'm working with voyaindia.com. It's been about 15 plus years that I've been in the industry, handling talent acquisition primarily, right? And thanks for having me here. And I'm sure that, more than what I could contribute for this session, there would be a lot of learning that I would want to take back. So thanks for having, and let's see how this goes.
Hi, good morning all. This is Isaac Asirvatham. I'm from JOGO Health.
Hi everyone, I'm Parki. I am Associate Director, Human Resources Strategy for Coforge.
I'm Tushar from HP Talent Acquisition Team.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ruby Bakshi. I come with 24 years of work experience. Have been extremely lucky to have worked in all the functions of HR. Recruitment was the beginning, and I know what it takes to, hold it strong and ensure that great talent comes into the organization, because everything gets impacted thereafter. Currently, I work with Harbinger Group. We are a IT software organization, primarily dealing with clients into HR tech solutioning and content services. I'm glad to be here today and happy to learn from everyone. Thank you.
This is Rajiv here. I work as Vice President HR at USDC Global. This is my 18th year with the same organization. Currently, we as an organization, we work with the universities in terms of scaling.
This is Aravind. I hold almost 23 years of experience overall. I claim myself as a full stack HR. Generally, developers will say full stack developer. Since I handle end-to-end HR functions, so we need to coin ourselves as I'm a full stack HR. I have experienced hiring freshers to CXOs. That includes location India, Middle East, Australia, ANZ region, and Middle East, Ukraine, UK, and Australia. And America. So this is my background, and happy to be here, all of you.
My name is Sneha Jaiswal. I am the Director HR VP for Barracuda. I manage the APAC region. I think being in HR for over a period of time, I think I can say that my job is part strategy, part therapy, and being a part detective. So I'm really looking forward to this discussion. And Pooja, thank you so much for inviting us here, Multi-Recruit. I think this is a great conversation. I'm so looking forward to it.
This is Srinivas. I'm a talent acquisition manager, talent acquisition recruiting senior manager with 18 years of experience in the relevant field. I like solving problems in talent acquisition, talent sourcing, training, even working closely with the technical team to build software for people in talent acquisition. And thanks for the invite from Multi-Recruit. Looking forward to hear from the other panelists, the discussions, and probably some takeaways and share some insights as well.
Thank you, everyone. It's wonderful to have such a diverse group of talent and HR leaders joining us today. So today we have gathered for a very critical roundtable discussion centered on the theme Future of Talent Acquisition and Talent Strategy in the AI and Skill Era. Especially, we will be diving deep into the provocative question, rethinking talent strategy. Is the way we attract, hire, and retain talent still relevant for the workforce for tomorrow? As a moderator, I look forward to facilitating a dynamic discussion, exchange of ideas amongst our experts, panelists from various leading organizations. Following our discussion, we will open the floor for a dedicated Q&A session where you will have the opportunity to engage directly with our speakers and delve deeper into the topic that resonate with you. Thank you again for joining us. And with this, let's get into our first question. Let's begin our roundtable discussion. So my first question is for Ashwini. What's one hiring metric you believe is misleading organizations today, and what should replace it?
Well, I think the metrics that we and all the HR folks, actually, not only recruiters, but HR folks will relate to this, is the time that we get to hire people. We always need people as on yesterday. And I like the way Amit nodded right now, acknowledging, saying you're bang on there. So thank you. So I think the time that we get to hire, the manpower planning that is expected from business to be done is something that we basically want them to help us. That's the gap that we need to clear. But this is the issue. Today, when I work with my organization, the kind of people that I hire, I'm hiring into IT. People have notice periods to search for a person, the right person is taking time. And that time is not given to the HR folks right now to complete the process in terms of giving yourself time to hunt the right person. And then you get in a person who is eagerly available right now to join your organization at the earliest. And that does not always mean that that's the right person for you. So that is the biggest challenge that I feel that we have is the time to hire. In case we have people, if we get good enough, sufficient time, and we have backup plans ready, we can work out pretty better in terms of getting the right resource who will work for the organization in the best manner that can be possibly looked at. So that's my opinion on this one.
That's a great perspective. Time to hire. I take that. Rajiv, would you have any other perspective on this topic?
Yes.
The hiring method you believe is misleading.
Yes. Yeah. According to me, there are two things. One is time to fill. Yes, I completely understand. What we usually do is time to fill tries to give us the speed of hiring, but doesn't measure on the quality of it. Like we always push towards how quickly we fill the position. This one particular metric tries to see how quickly we are able to fill the position, but not on the quality. So this always misleads in terms of talent acquisition. And also the quality of hire the quality of hire to be replaced there rather than looking at time to hire. The quality of hire should be there. And offer acceptance ratios or offer acceptance rates should also be, say, even that's misleading kind of a metric which we often look at as a talent acquisition managers. We look at how quickly, how many offers have been accepted. But when it comes to joining, from the time of offer to joining, there could be a lot of things that could happen in a candidate journey. So these two metrics are often misleading, and this to be replaced with quality of hire. And we should also look at offer to joining ratios, then offer to acceptance ratios.
Quality of hire, and the second one you mentioned is?
See, from time to fill, we should be looking at quality to hire, quality of hire,
Right.
that one ratio. Second one is from offer acceptance ratio to offer to joining ratios.
Right.
So we often talk about how many offers have been accepted, but not on the joinings, because this too would often mislead the entire team.
Absolutely. Interesting. Thank you, Rajiv. Thank you, Ashwini, for that interesting insight. Now let's move on to our second question, which is, are we over-engineering hiring processes while under-investing in what actually makes people stay? Where is the imbalance? And I'd like Amit to answer this question, if you have any perspective, Amit. I'll repeat my question.
Hi.
Are we over-engineering hiring processes while under-investing in what actually makes people stay? Where is the imbalance?
So I feel we are focused more towards optimizing the accuracy rather than optimizing the stay, like the optimizing the adaptability of the resource. Like say, we create our hiring processes where we work towards answering one important question, that can this person do the job today? But with the changing industry, technology, tools, the question should be, can this person grow with the job tomorrow? Right? So I believe the focus should be how we're optimizing the person, right, and grow from there rather than optimizing the hiring accuracy. Uh, I believe the organizations can win this if they focus more on, making the person stay through internal mobility, learning, and strong leadership. I feel that's where the imbalance is. I mean, that's my point on that.
That's great. I really like the perspective that the focus should be on adaptability over accuracy. It's very interesting. Aravind, would you have any insight on this question?
Yeah, I agree with Amit's point. To add one more, is in the current scenario, everyone are looking at taking the expertise of the AI tools. Even we could see a lot of interviews are happening in AI tools, and now companies have started discussing about if you have experience in AI tools, especially co-piloting or Claude or whatever it is, if you have experience in taking or extracting things from that, then you are eligible for hire. But while doing the interviews, we should not do that. So we have this imbalance. But again, sometimes we are doing over engineering. In case if we complete L1, they'll ask for L2 and ask for L3. Sometimes one another manager will come and I will ask for L4. So in that case, if we don't give any good candidate experience, obviously the candidate will not come join us, right? So we should be prepared everything that okay, this person has all these things. So according to me, yes, there are some imbalance and which has to be addressed. And adaptability, yes, of course, everyone will not be 100% match with the JD. We have some slight mismatches. Anyone will agree, I believe, because 100% you will not get the perfect match for a particular JD. Sometimes we get exceeded also. So as you mentioned, yes, we do have this imbalance.
Perfect. So we really need to take care that we are investing more in what actually makes people stay rather than over investing in hiring technologies and leaning onto AI. That's an interesting point. Thank you, Arvind. My next question is for Tushar. If you had to choose speed, quality, or candidate experience, what would you prioritize today? And what's the real trade-off you have seen?
One I need to prioritize, right? Okay. Um, so if I would have two options, I would prioritize quality and candidate experience, but it's one, so I'll go with candidate experience. Because in my opinion, I feel that that impacts both. If candidate, I feel that, candidate may forgive a rejection or not selection, but they will never forget a poor experience, hiring experience. And if I see in terms of quality or very aggressively looking for speed of hire, uh, so if say we are aggressively looking speed of hire, then it reduces maybe the number of interviews we need to do and we should do, and it sometimes bring a situation where hiring manager need to take quick call, uh, and overall experience of candidate as well as the business becomes very timeline tight. So uh, and if we focus on quality, it will slow down the process. uh, if we focus on speed, uh, I have to go and check the candidates readily available in my database. It will not give me that much scope to scout for the best of the talent available in market. And if I choose quality, it will bring more layered approach of evaluation and interviews. So, uh, so I'll prioritize candidate experience because that eventually in a long run can impact both quality as well as speed of the hire. So that will be my answer.
Great, Tushar. So I understand that your choice is candidate experience, but subtly you're also saying that balance of speed, quality, and candidate experience in the total, process that we follow is also important.
It's very important, and actually, it is. This question is quite subjective, and it's can't be like one over other. And
Yeah.
we need all. We need all amalgamation of balance of all the aspects that brings actually the best of hire. That is my point. But yeah, uh, candidate experience is irreversible. If it is not good, not good. But
Right.
if speed is something which, if business is asking to speed up the hiring like anything, I think that is some miscalculation or mismanagement in in analyzing the demand of workforce. The speed you can increase, you can set the speed, but experience is irreversible. Yeah.
Absolutely. I would now invite Ruby to share some, light on this question. Ruby, over to you.
Thanks. I agree with Tushar's thoughts, and I think if you want to, if the business demands that there should be speed, speed could have a cascading effect on quality. So if you're going to be looking for speeding up the process, there could be times where quality could be compromised, because if somebody is readily available and can join in quickly and you just want to get started, quality may have been compromised at certain point in time. If you look at speed and quality and you are overcritical in kind of seeing every pros and cons, and otherwise there may not be a great candidate experience. Candidate experience is more about your culture. as an organization, how do you want to, how do you look at the other side? So I would say speed and quality is from this side of the table, whereas candidate experience is something that you would drive to invite the experience from the other side. And many a times it kind of weaves into your philosophy of whether you want to really, are you really worried to give a great candidate experience or not? There are many organizations which probably would only want to focus on speed and quality. But logically, if you want long-lasting employees, as Tushar mentioned, it's more emotional kind of a thing that how you treat people gives rather leaves an impact on them, whether they look at staying with you for a longer duration or not, or how they actually talk about you. These days, candidates are very smart. They first go and check reviews of whether they would want to join you or not join you.
Yes.
So I'm sure people visit Glassdoor, they go to Ambition Box, they go to various other platforms and first want to see is this place good for me or not? How is the candidate experience? So if talent really needs to be attracted, I think that speed and quality come later. You can only do that if you've been able to build that experience across. And these platforms are really talking great about you as an organization. If they are, I think the other two will be taken care of. If I have to choose between speed and quality, definitely quality, because things done in haste, I don't think, and as Tushar rightly mentioned, that maybe there is something the organization has not done right, wherein they are speeding up the entire thing, and it's not a thought through kind of a thing. So very rarely are recruiters very lucky to get quality with speed, and that doesn't happen all the time. So that's my take on it.
Great thoughts. And I totally agree with you, Ruby, when you say that candidate experience is also about showcasing the culture of the organization. So that's very true. Agree on that. Now let's move on to the next question. My next question is, are organizations hiring for skills they could realistically build internally? What's stopping that shift? I'd love to hear Smita share her thoughts on this question.
Sure. Thanks, Arpita. Before I dive into that question, I think rightly said by Tushar and Ruby, I think coming from the business partnering team, the candidate experience is really, really important. Now, I dive into the question that you asked me, are organizations hiring for skills? I think, yes, many organizations are still hiring externally for skills that they could. However, I think the shift towards build versus buy talent is slower than expected due to a mix of structural and operational barriers. But having said that, are organizations over relying on external hiring? Yes, because I think external hiring is typically faster for immediate needs, especially in areas like which are technically niche areas. And that's also because I think the TA team faces a lot of short-term business pressure. I think leaders often prioritize immediate delivery over long-term capability building. And also sometimes, the training programs that come in within the organizations are also very generic and not very role specific. And lastly, what I feel is the manager mindset also. They prefer the ready-made talent rather than investing in developing their team members. So I think the shift is required on long-term commitment, strong leadership, sponsorship, and I think there's a lot that needs to be integrated between learning, talent mobility, and workforce planning. That's what I feel.
Wonderful. So in a way, you're also saying that there's also requirement is also on the shift in the mindset of the managers, and yeah, very true. I agree. Thank you, Smita. I'd request Neha to share her thoughts on the same question.
Thank you, Arpita. I think this is a great segue from the conversation that we've started. But you know what? I'm going to give a really long-winded answer for this. Let me start with a paradox first. I think most of the organizations will tell us that skills and not headcount is their biggest challenge. And though when we say this, but whenever a critical skill gap appears, our natural instinct is going ahead and looking out in the market and not internally, right? And I was actually doing some deep research on this, and some of the very good data points that I actually went ahead and corroborated and said that this actually doesn't support this instinct. For example, when McKinsey and HR.com went ahead and did this, 82% of the executives say internal reskilling is viable paths for the skill gaps. 18% say it's actually cheaper to promote internally versus going externally. But at the same time, 50% of the employees said it's easier to find a job outside than internally. So I think what I kind of derived out of that this is not a capability issue. This is how we are actually choosing how to unlock this in our organization. So I think, of course, just kind of go back to the question in terms of this: are organizations hiring for skills? Of course they are, and but they are. Could they build that internally? Of course. But I think the problem is not a talent problem. I think it's a system and an operating model problem. So just to kind of I love numbers. So I did another deep research where I was looking at this case study a Fortune 500 tech company did. And what they actually did as a company is they mapped their skills to business goals. With that, they reskilled about 6,000 odd employees. They upskilled 20,000 more employees, and they actually ended up filling 80% of the skills gap internally. So this was a small intervention, but if you look at it deeply, it was a very deliberate strategic choice that they made in order to build their capability inside. So like Smita said, is it a mindset issue? Of course, but I think I'd like to also add a perspective that this is an urgency bias. It's a lack of internal skills visibility, and it's also misaligned, career pathways that we have and incentives that we provide. And I'm actually going to give something that could be a little controversial. Because we are going ahead and buying skills from the market, we're actually renting capability. So I think that if you want to kind of build internally in terms of the skill set with skilling, upskilling, I think that would actually create a long-term resilience for the business. I know it's quite controversial, but I think we need to start thinking in that direction. I think the landscapes are changing, the way we work is changing, so I think it's a good wake-up call for all of us.
A very interesting study and statistic that you have shared. And I truly hope that organizations now start leaning on to filling the skill gap that's exist in their organization by upskilling their workforce rather than just going out, which is like their go-to mode whenever they want to fill the skill gap. But yeah, I really liked your thought process and the stats that you provided. Thank you. Thank you, Sneha. Where has AI now next moving on to next question? Where has AI genuinely improved hiring outcomes and where has it quietly made decision making worse? So I'd like to throw this question to Amit.
Yeah, I mean that's the hot topic, right? AI and how we are using it in our day-to-day lives and in the processes as well. So I feel that AI has genuinely improved hiring when it removes administrative friction rather than replacing human judgment, right? So I think the biggest gains that we have seen is in terms of sourcing, scheduling, uh, interview note taking, summarization, and also helping recruiters identifying talent pool more efficiently, right? And so with these things, it frees up recruiters' time and helps them to engage with the candidates and the hiring manager more. But where AI can make a decision worse is when organizations start treating it as a decision maker rather than decision supporting tool, right? Because see, AI is trained on historical data and historical hiring decisions that can contain biases, organization preferences, as well as assumptions, which may not be relevant anymore, right? So if you're not careful, AI can actually help us being confident in making flawed decision, right? Because because they appear data driven, and we are like, why not go ahead with this, right? Because it's data driven, right? So I believe the future would not be AI probably replacing recruiters, but recruiters who knows how to use AI and outperforming those who don't, right? But I still believe that the human context and the judgment should still sit at the center of the hiring decision. So that's my point on that.
That's a great point. Thank you, Amit. Ruby, would you like to share anything on this topic?
I so resonate with what Amit has already shared. I believe that, while it's the buzzword today, as we are aging with AI, we shouldn't assume it to, while it's a co-pilot, it can, help us out in whatever we are doing. Many a times, with the assumption that let it do it all, should not be our mindset. And, garbage in is garbage out. We all know this. So, as rightly said by Amit, how are we as an organization very conscious about whatever AI implementations we are doing? Have we tested it? There's been a case study about Amazon itself. It's quite out there of how bias was there. The bot was trained enough, and the results that used to be thrown out was only male candidates would find getting shortlisted, because whatever examples were shown of the resumes or any context that was shown, I think very subconsciously they just had picked up all males to kind of train the bot. And for a very long time, Amazon did not realize that, all the shortlists that were coming in were primarily male candidates. And it took them a while to understand that, oh, it is because the bot has been trained in that way. So as TA leaders, as HR leaders, we need to widen our spectrum to say that great, all our monotonous work is taken care of, right from the job descriptions getting made, from the screening work happening, for scheduling of interviews, but what are the little nuances we want to keep in mind? What is it that we follow as a culture or as an organization? If we are an organization which believes in, say, diversity hiring, so where can it have what kind of impact? These are little nuances we should keep in mind while we are getting AI systems into our ecosystem, and also for some substantial time, monitor the outcome and see what is not happening the way we would have done it if we would have done it as humans. Before we say that, okay, these are the pieces, we give it to AI, this is monotonous work, let it do it, and it's now going fine. I think what humans at some point in time should not give up is that I see a lot of bots taking interviews these days, and we shouldn't assume that, okay, it's doing that, the final outcome which has come to us is the outcome. We don't know how much of good talent we may be missing out. So there are certain things which we should have our guardrails are of course set, and human intervention does play a very important role. Anything to do, let's take a very simple example that you've had an employee who was a gold medalist or has been always been an employee of the year. Now this person has had some issues personally and has taken a break for 2 years, has joined, rather is looking out for a good job, and one of your company criteria says that do not take people with gaps. And obviously, this resume is just going to be thrown out, right? Because the person does have a gap of 2 years. Then how do you take care of some things of this kind? You're going to miss out on a great candidate just because the person had a personal issue going on. So those are some things we need to first test. What are the kind of guardrails we are putting in when we are creating our own systems, and what is it that matters to us as an organization, as a culture, and keep testing that all the time. And anything to take decisions with the human aspect in it should be something which humans should is what I would like to say.
Continue.
Sorry for that long answer.
No, absolutely. And it's very enlightening the way you shared it. Like you've covered like the entire process, of hiring and how to really avoid um, making flawed decision based on AI. So that's really helpful. And I understand from both of you and Amit, I understand that we have to be careful with using AI. We have to be focused on the nuances to hiring that we are feeding in the AI bots. We have to monitor the outcome for some time, and we should have guardrails in place to check if something negative is not happening in the entire process, like wrong outcomes, wrong hiring is not happening, or biased hiring is not happening. Wonderful. So this is a very important topic. I'd like to open this question to all the panelists. If anyone else would like to join their view on this question, please do share.
So, Arpita, I mean, this topic is very, very close to my heart. It was my, somewhere related to the thesis that I presented for my PhD. So I agree with Amit and Ruby, and I think there are enough and more studies to support the view where a human in loop is a must. And the biases that creep in, even with the use of a thing as neutral as a AI, we have to be very cautious because it's learning from us and we're not the best tutors. So we need to be cautious of what's going in, and like Ruby very rightly pointed out, garbage in is garbage out. If we are not feeding our tools with the right kind of knowledge, I think we are failing big time. Also, I just wanted to. I have been hearing all the views about talent strategies and strategies around hiring, etc. And I think one main thing that we continuously tend to miss out on, and is otherwise very, very important, is we briefly touched upon it, that we should be upskilling our current available employee database so that they can take up more capable roles within the organization. And I don't think we are emphasizing on it enough. The fact that the time to hire exists, the fact that the quality of hire suffers, etc., is only because we are opening even critical positions for external talent only. If we internalize this process, if we do our succession planning right, if we do our trainings right, perhaps we'll be able to open positions for the talent acquisition teams to focus on where they can actually concentrate on quality and take their sweet time to fulfill it, if the more critical positions are already fulfilled internally. The business rushes the TA team, and it may be a very controversial opinion, and I'm open to hear more about it. But as a strategist, I've seen that the business teams would only push on the roles where the time to hire is critical because of the capability and the resulting revenue that we may derive out of this position. So if we are able to internalize or use our internal talent well, if we are able to upskill, if we are able to focus our strategy more on adaptive and learning rather than creating capability within rather than hiring from outside, I think a lot of the load from the TA team would be taken off, and the TA team could actually focus on getting the right frontline talent inside that can be scaled up for the future. So just a couple of things here and there that I was thinking of during the conversation that I thought I should present up. Like I said, it's a controversial point of view, and I understand that there's maybe some capabilities which are so novel that they may not exist in its current form in any organizations, and hence it becomes necessary to go out in the market and get those skills from outside. But learning, and if there's a skill and will thing, if that is balanced out for people within your organizations, I think it will take a lot of pressure off the TA teams that are working in a high pressure environment. And like I said, I have great regard for the function because we build that unnecessary pressure on these folks, which is avoidable.
Thank you, Dr. Parkhi. I think you have beautifully summarized this question that we were discussing and the previous one. So thank you for your insights on these two questions. So now let's move on to our next question. And my next question is for Sneha. Are talent strategies truly aligned with business strategy, or are they still operating as a support function?
So I have a smile for this. No, that's fine, Arpita. So I think I have a smile on this because, and I think Smita can also can relate to this. I think most of the period, let's say in the past 5 to 7 years, I think the question is around that: has HRBP really found the seat on the table? Are they really strategic business partners? And I think it's a good reality check and a time to be really honest. That are we really there? And like I said, I love data, and I wanted to really deep dive in terms of are we really there? And to my surprise, the data hasn't caught up with the reality. So when McKinsey kind of did this survey, 73% of the organizations say that workforce planning is done, but only 12% of those organizations do multi-year strategy. And 51% of the talent acquisition functions are still operating in a very reactive mode, like I think the conversation is going around regarding the just-in-time hiring. So I think when I looked into these aspects of it, and you're just kind of going back to your question, are we aligned with the business strategy? On paper, definitely yes. But operationally, I think in many organizations, we're still responding to demand. And I think, this is a good time where we can start asking questions when we go ahead and start aligning our strategies that what is the product priorities? What do our customers really demanding for? How is the AI really changing the operating model? And what are those capabilities that would be looked into in the next 2-3 years that's been there? And I love this quote which Gartner had done. And the analyst actually said what organizations are doing right now is vacancy management at scale. So I think this was very powerful when I read it, and I wanted to kind of bring this perspective onto the table. So I think the shift here, what we need to bring in, and I think a lot of that responsibility is on the overall HR, and I'm including TA into it because I always consider them as a part of the HR fraternity. That we need to move away on how many roles do we need to fill, to asking questions like what capabilities would determine the business to actually succeed. And I think when we start asking that questions to ourselves, I think that's when the shift that HR stops becoming a support function and we truly become a strategic partner. So I strongly believe that talent strategy should not sit behind a business plan. It should actually be one of the assumptions in which the business plan is actually built in.
That's great, Sneha. I really am fascinated by your love for data. Thank you for sharing those amazing stats. And I completely agree with you that the focus should be from what role to fill to what capabilities we should have. That's very interesting point you shared. I'd also now like to ask Dr. Parkhi to share her views on this topic.
Sure. Thanks, Arpita. Sneha, I agree with you on a lot of what you said, barring the one thing that, we have not found, like HR business strategy has not been able to find a seat on the table. I think that is changing. You're right in saying that a lot of organizations have still not done it. So major HR thinkers like Dave Ulrich, Josh Bersin, they have been talking about this change in model, this shift in model for as many years as I can remember. I mean, I remember starting reading Dave Ulrich right 4 or 5 years into my career, and that's when I saw what is a personal, what is an HR, what is the strategic HR business partnering role, and what it should look like. I think that change is happening. It is happening at a slower pace, agreed. But talent strategy is now being identified as one of the core business levers, and where the organizations have not really been able to identify. We see that there are challenges happening within the organizations. Organizations right now are moving to workforce planning linked to revenue pipelines. We are finding a seat at the table. We have been able to push the agenda as far as pushing a skill-based hiring, which is aligned to a digital transformation that is happening at an immense pace right now. I also see that you would see, Sneha, and I don't know if you would agree or not, and how it would have been in the past. But during the business reviews, etc., HR has started to find a seat and has been held accountable and answerable for a lot of things to do from strategy perspective. So be it succession planning, filling in the roles internally. I think we're not just robust on that strategic part. And like you mentioned, Sneha, that I consider TA as a part of HR. It's not considered. It is one part. Unfortunately, that that amalgamation has not happened so far. And the moment the TA and the HR strategic teams find enough time to be able to catch up with one another and devise strategies, I'm sure that there's going to be an immense shift. And wherever there are organizations that this is happening, there are major shifts in the kind of pressure that the organization feels in terms of the capability that they're able to hire and the kind of capability that they're able to internally develop within the organization. The one gap that I do see is that talent is still treated like a staffing function. We are still looking at it as a short term demand fulfillment. Against we should actually be considering it as a future capability building. Right now the business talks about growth and innovations, hiring numbers, cost controls, etc. But we have to understand that it's that's not strategy, that's just operations. So we have to shift that alignment from a headcount planning to a capability architecture, shift from headcount planning to a capability architecture. And HR strategy, we we we're not late, we're early. But I'm sure with the with more time passing by and people identifying, with discussions like these that we are right now doing, I'm sure the business has started to identify that HR business strategy does need to find a seat on the table. So talent risk is always discussed alongside the business risk, and this is the only alignment that we should be focusing at.
That's great, Dr. Paki. So I understand that, yes, the gap exists, but the shift is also happening. So it's not status quo. The shift is happening, and that's great. Anybody else would like to share their thoughts on this question? Any one of the panelists?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what I was saying is, in this era of AI, it's really important that people are able to do things quickly, right? And the shift has to happen. Take a wildebeest, for example, right? Once it is born, it literally has 1 hour to stand upon its leg, and and basically start walking so that it doesn't become a prey, right? That's literally what needs to happen these days. And in the AI era, organizations are looking at a fast-paced environment. So they're not looking at a slow-paced environment where things take a long time to kind of go from one stage to another stage, and for that to materialize. So it's really important that we make the shift of whether it's a small organization or a mid-level organization or a large organization. Organizations have to be nimble. So it cannot be like it takes 1 month, 6 months, 3 months for a progression to happen. And that's something which organizations have to look at it from an architecture standpoint, like how architecture is really important for software engineering. So it's the same with HR and talent acquisition as well. Because if the framework is not laid properly, whatever we try to do and whatever we try to implement, it's not going to happen as smoothly as we envision it, because the framework has not been set in that way for things to happen asynchronously.
Thank you. Thank you, Srinivas, for your wonderful perspective. Now let's move on to next question. My next question is for Ashwini. Are companies unintentionally selling a version of work during hiring that doesn't match reality? What's the cost of the gap?
Well, going back to where I started from, the time that we get to fill the position. Okay, very unintentionally, people are basically the recruiters are basically trying to sell the concept of working with an organization in a way where they want to showcase everything is good. In reality, yes, every organization, every workplace has its own flaws, cannot be demonstrated in the first go. But what I believe is being authentic is what is needed while you're hiring, because that kind of helps get the right person inside. Because if you do not do that, the cost of it is when you're overselling an opportunity, you are talking to the person, giving them a perspective of an organization which is not the reality probably, or not close to reality. Maybe a part of it is real and a part of it is just a point to basically attract the candidate. I think we basically lose out on the good talent early, which is the early attrition that we face. That's one of the things. Another thing is the person who's coming in loses faith in the organization, loses faith in the leadership. So the credibility in the market is gone. Once the credibility is gone, we go back to again hiring people which do not want to join us. While in the conversation, someone mentioned that people are vigilant now. They basically go and find out the ranking of the organization, the kind of culture that we hold, the kind of space that we have. So if the candidates today, or the who are looking for an organization, if they go back and study, and if they get a feeler, or they understand that okay, what is promised is not delivered, you lose out on the best of it. And coming to the most important point, which I don't think we've really targeted right now, the Gen Zs today, they do not want to basically look at organizations who do not fulfill commitments. So if there is something told to them, they definitely want to, get that on their platter. They are the most, I don't know what term to use right now, but I think most vigilant crowd that we have. I would rather believe to say that, because unlike people when we were hiring earlier and what we are hiring now, people then the job was important, the stability was important for them. What role that they play, what is it that they're doing within the organization, how important they are, okay, in the place that they're working is very important, and how engaged they are, is very, very, very important. So if with all this, if you've authentically put that across, saying this is your role, but these are your challenges, this is the growth plan. Again, Gen Zs we're talking about, and the millennials we're talking about, they are more inclined towards the growth aspect of their career, and at the earliest, by the way. Okay. Unlike people, like in the previous generations, people were like, yeah, we know we have to work hard towards growth. Okay. And I'm telling you, I had a team member, and I had this experience. Within 3 months, she's like, okay, now how do I grow? When is my next promotion? I'm like, child, you just got out of college, you're an intern, and you're just kind of interning, and now you need to basically work with us for some time. And she's like, yeah, but I've been working, I've been putting in efforts. I said, yes, but there is time for growth. There is this. But she's like, but I was never told this during interview. And for, I think, recruiters, it's been taken for granted that everyone knows growth happens in an organization after 12 months or 18 months. So that kind of an information has to be given. Being authentic, coming back to authenticity, being authentic is something that we as an organization in every aspect. So there are two things that we spoke about in this entire conversation. We spoke about time to hire, and of course we spoke about internal development of employees. So if the internal development is happening, which means we're basically focusing on people will feel engaged, and people will feel that they're required in the organization. While hiring, if you focus on these two topics and explain how the organization module functions around these things in terms of your growth, in terms of your learning, I think we'll be in a better space. So that's my thought.
Wonderful. Wonderful, Ashwini. And I totally, am, fascinated by the term that you use. Being authentic is the key. So I think recruiters need to be authentic to have the right candidate experience overall. Yeah.
And for the
Thank you.
recruiters to be authentic, there needs to be time given for hiring.
Oh, yes. Taken.
Sorry, I'm coming
Absolutely.
back to it because I think that's a bigger pain area, as I say, and it's really, I mean, I've had that experience for a good 10 years now, wherein give me people as on yesterday. So the first person who's willing to join you basically, even the business who's interviewing, oh, he can join us early. Can you get him on board? The idea is that, and that's not what we should be looking at. Just because he or she can join us early, we do not want to hire them. We want to hire because they have the required skills, or that's the thing. So yeah, coming back to that. Sorry.
Point taken. Yes, agree. Thank you, Ashwini. I'd like to request Srinivas to share his views on this question.
Yeah, so see, Arpita, it's not just about recruiters, it's about every individual, right? So within the organization. whether it's a business development person, whether it's a HR, whether it's a recruiter, talent acquisition, or even a client engaging person, right? So uh, for any person who interacts with stakeholders, right, whether it's an internal stakeholder or an external stakeholder, it's extremely important or crucial, right? So to have transparent discussions, right? To be not to overcome it. Um, I would suggest probably even undercommitting might not be a bad idea, but definitely not to overcome it, because the moment one kind of overcommits, the person is at risk, because see, this can happen either ways. The organization can overcommit to the candidates. That has happened many a time, right? The It could happen from a candidate as well. It could happen from a recruiter as well. So from either of those people, it's really important that we we don't appear too salesy or overcommit, right? So it's important to set expectations. If the person, if we're talking about a recruiter or a talent acquisition individual, it's important that person actually becomes a good candidate advocate and sets the person up for success, right? So and give them all those information, all the required information, like how many rounds are there in terms of interviews, provide them with a job description, uh, help them understand what the role is about, why the role is there in the first place. Is it a replacement position, or is it a new hire role? What is the problem this is solving, right? So all of that good stuff, not just a transactional behavior, but requirement is there because there is a problem to solve, right? So it's important to sell the problem than the requirement, and that's what stakeholders, external stakeholders who are not in the system, like to hear, right? So and this is, as I said, this is not something which is just applicable for the recruiters. It is applicable for everybody in the organization, and even people outside of an organization as well, because we interact with people, right? So we don't interact with AI. So if we are hungry, we don't talk to AI, and our hunger is right, like, sorted. So we interact with people, and it's important to have those conversations, which will help us to kind of leverage those relationships that we have, because we are going to need each other.
Great. Thank you, Srinivas, for that wonderful insight. And I understand, hearing from you that selling the right version of work is not just recruiters' responsibility, but all the stakeholders' responsibility. Having transparent discussion, not to overcommit, setting right expectations, and clarifying why and what of the roles are all part of this. So thank you.
Arpita, just before you move, I think I just wanted to add a couple of points, and I think Srinivas, I think you perfectly blended all the things, and I think we all are advocates for making sure that we give out the right set of information. And the question is, what's in for me, right? It can be any group, whether it's a Gen Z to anybody who's have had a lot of experience. I think what's in for me, if that question gets addressed by every stakeholder, be it any function, or it can be business who are talking with the candidates when they're getting interviewed. I think that plays a very important role. Otherwise, what I have seen is once the person joins in, the infancy attrition is extremely high as a business partner that I have seen, because the job of a talent acquisition doesn't end there, right? The date of joining, right? Offer, is gone out of the organization and accepted, and the person joined. But it's how long the person is going to be staying with us. That also lies with all of us as a responsibility. And I've seen that the infancy attritions are very high, and the reason that are being quoted most of the times is the right set of information and expectations was not informed to the candidate. So I think I am truly aligned to what Srinivas was talking about. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Smita. Just one more thing. When you use the term "what's in it for me," I have seen many a time that people kind of uh, move forward to do a certain work if there's something in it for them. But a relationship builds with your future stakeholder or a future opportunity wherein the same candidate joins your organization after growing in another organization and coming back. So they remember you for you, and that only happens if you don't think about what's in it for me. I will only do things if there is something for me. Right? So, and that's something which is important as well. Um, that's when those people keep coming back to us, and so we're not in the shadow of an organization, but so that's where the personal brand comes into the fore.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashwini, Srinivas, and Smita for sharing that insightful views. Now let's move on to our next question. Do leaders today have a clarity on what future ready talent actually means, or are we hiring based on evolving buzzwords? So I'll open up this question for Dr. Patki.
Thanks, Arpita. I was just thinking, Warren, I have a sleep cycle of 4 hours, okay? And I'm a huge consumer of social media, which is a discussion for another time. But I was watching this reel where there's this person who's standing in a tech town hall and just, keeps on repeating the word AI, AI, AI. And I think that's what's happening. That's what the reality is. Right now, the biggest challenge is that future ready is not clearly defined in a measurable terms. We are talking about future ready, but what is future ready? We are hiring for labels like digital talent, AI ready workforce, agile mindset, but these are all aspirational phases, right? These are not actionable definitions on what you should be hiring. So I think it is right, but I mean, people don't have a choice, right? Once the market starts talking about one go-to word and the client starts to demand something which is related to, say, AI, etc., you don't have a choice but to talk that tongue. But do we really understand what is future ready? That is one question that I will leave everybody pondering for. What we should instead do is we should do a simple three-layer model. First should be the core capability layer. Second should be an adaptive skills layer and the mindset layer. That's it. Like I spoke about it earlier, one is developing your core capabilities, identifying what's your core expertise, and developing more on it, giving more digital literacy to these domain experts. For example, say within BFS frameworks, giving them an AI risk understanding may be one very good idea. It may be one place where the clients would pitch in more business from. That will be the core capability layer. Now coming to the adaptive skills layer, learning agility, the talent that you're getting on board, skill versus will, a debate that we've been having for since my fathers and grandfathers and since whatnot. I think that's another thing that we should focus on. So if we just concentrate on these three layers, which is first developing a core capability, second making sure that your skill is adaptive enough, and third that the mindset is right. If there's a comfort with change, if your people are culturally aligned to the fact that they may be required to change very frequently, I think the combination of these three will is what will lead to a future ready talent. I mean, that's my definition. It may of course vary for various people, but this is where we are going wrong at this particular time. Today, the skills that are trending today, they're ending it today. Okay, they're not future ready. So for external hiring versus internal capability building, you should always be concentrating on internal capability building and go external only once you have consumed all internal pods available and you are sure that that we don't have the skill, and then go external. So I think if we just shift our focus, we have more tangible definition on what is future ready, half our problems will be solved.
Wonderful. Dr. Parkhi, I need your help. I really like the 3 pointers that you gave us for building a future ready skill set. One is developing core capability.
Yes.
Second
is adaptive skills.
Adaptive skills. And third is the mindset right.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I really liked it. Thank you so much. Now I'd request Rajiv to share his views on this.
I definitely agree with Dr. Paki. Today, many organizations are still influenced by these buzzwords that AI ready, digital first, agile, generative AI skills, without clearly defining what these capabilities are and whether they are relevant to the specific business. In India's context, I would see that there are a lot of technologies that are evolving, and that rapidly means that the skills have been picked up rapidly as well. But these skills can be obsolete in few years. So what remains more valuable is being adaptable, as my Dr. Paki said, continuous learning, problem solving abilities, collaborations, and digital fluency. So I would say that a future ready talent is someone who can learn the technology quickly, work efficiently across functions, make data based or data informed decisions, embrace change. So this is what I would say a future ready talent is. And as an organization, we should start moving towards a skill based hiring, assessing capabilities, and learning agility instead of relying solely on trending certifications or those buzzwords.
Thank you, Rajiv.